Today we will talk about Middle East. 16 countries are located in Middle East. Middle East is the Islamic world. The 16 countries are Yemen, Oman, Qatar, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, Bahrain, Iran, Iraq, Jordan, Syria, Lebanon, Palestine, Israel, Egypt, and Turkey. We will also go through the main physical feature in that region. First, we have Arabian Desert. Arabian Desert is the largest desert in the continent of Asia, and it is the second largest desert after Sub-Sahara Desert in the world. While Zagros Mountain is the main highland in Middle East, which passes through Iran, Iraq, and Turkey. While Euphrates River, which originates in Turkey, it passes from Syria and meets with the Tigris River in Iraq and finally empties into Persian Gulf. Babylonian and Assyrian are the two ancient civilizations that had been settled in the region of Middle East. Whenever we talk about 700 BC, it was in a time when the power was in the hand of Iranian Mahdi's. First 100 BC, Byzantine Empire was holding power up to 6th century in the Middle East. 700 century, which marked the dominance of Arab in Middle East, which came to an end in 11th century when Seljuk Turk came to the region and they were driven out the region by Mongol army. While the time period of a 15th century, rise of Ottoman Emir in Middle East, 1453, occupation of Constantinople, the capital of a Byzantine Empire by Ottoman Emir. There was a struggle for power between Iranian Safavid and Ottoman Emir. This was a struggle for power up to 16th century. While the 17th century, it was a shift of power toward West. When British had established their influence in Middle East, French also made their colonies in Middle East like Syria and Lebanon. A turning point, which was the discovery of oil in Middle East. It was discovered first in Persia in 1908, later in Saudi Arabia in 1938. In 1920, 30 and 40, some countries in the Middle East made moves toward independence. While the colonial powers like Soviet Union, British and French, they departed from the Middle East during and after Cold War. While in 1979, it was considered a time period of revolution in Iran and which was considered increasing Islamism across the Middle East. In 2010, which brought a great change in Middle East, it was anti-government movement and protest across the Middle East. If we look at the present conflict in Middle East, that Israel-Palestine conflict is the dominant conflict. It is a matter of history. When Palestine was being ruled by the Ottoman Empire, it had been taken by British after Ottoman Empire in First World War. In 1920, Jews started to move toward Palestine as they were being prosecuted across the Europe in the time period of Hitler. The Great Game started to change as international community gave responsibility to British to form a national home for Jews. And this move was opposing by the Palestinian Arab. In 1947, United Nations voted for the partition of Palestine. It was divided into two parts, Palestine and Israel. In 1948, after the departure of British from Palestine, the declaration of an Israel independent state by the leader of Israel. In 1948, there was a war between Israel and Palestine and ended in 1949. As a result of this war, 750,000 people of Palestine were displaced. In 1967, Israel and Palestine engaged in war against each other. During this time, the occupation of Eastern Jerusalem, Western Bank, and Sinai Peninsula. After this war, during the last 50 years, the settlement by the Israel in the eastern part of the Jerusalem, Western Bank, and Gaza. Now, what are the current problems between these two states? What should be to the refugee of Palestine? Whether Jerusalem should be divided by these two sides? The settlement of the Israel should stay or be removed. Civil war in Yemen is also a cause of a political instability in this state. There are two groups. One side there is a government, while on the other hand, the group which is leading anti-government movement is known as a Houthi group, which is getting support from Iran in the form of weapon, in the form of economic, while the government is getting support from the United Arab Emirates and Saudi Arabia. While there is also civil war in Syria, the government, which is leading by Bashar al-Assad, a president, is getting support from Russia and Iran, while the anti-government movement in Syria is getting support from Saudi Arabia and United Arab Emirates. Now it is expecting there would be a peace and end of civil war in these states as the restore of diplomatic relation between India as restore a diplomatic relation between Saudi Arabia and Iran with the coordination of China.